Hello, good evening, everybody. Hope you've had a good Monday. It's been a lovely, quiet week in the paranormal, hasn't it? No dramas or anything. It's been absolutely fine. Hope you're good, and really interested in this one this evening because I've been kind of used to guests with who've kind of been professors and various kind of academic people and people who are very knowledgeable, but it's been a while since I've had an eyewitness to a personal experience of a haunting in their home. So we have got Danny Cutmore this evening. I'm going to introduce her in a second. Please, before, obviously, whatever, in terms of, obviously, we have a guest, please make sure you're respectful. I know you are. You are lovely, lovely, lovely people. But obviously, is there something that Danny says you don't necessarily agree with it? Just, obviously be respectful in the chat. I know you will be. And I'm sure that my wonderful mods will sort them out if needs be. Right. Let's bring in Danny. Hey, Danny, you right?
Nice to speak to you.
Danny or D? What do you prefer?
D. Yeah.
Okay, D it is. All right then, D. So yeah, it's like I say, it's been a while since I've actually spoken to somebody, obviously, about their very personal experience around the hauntings in their home. And obviously, a lot of people watching this evening will have never seen you, never met you, they may never have heard your story unless they're very particularly local to Hartford, which is where you used to live. I don't know if you still live there.
No.
But do you want to say a little bit about yourself and then maybe take us back to 2001 when all of this started and what was going on in your life at the time, to give people a bit of a background knowledge about you?
Sure. Well, it's nice to speak to you, firstly. I was born in Enfield in 1977.
Oh, good year for
Just
good place.
Actually, the same time as the Enfield poltergeist was happening, although I had no idea. Obviously, I was being born, but I didn't realise until a few years ago that was the case, which is kind of, really interesting. Before 2001, I had no interest in paranormal. I wasn't interested in ghosts. I didn't really like scary stories. Wasn't into horror. Had nobody I knew had died that young, so I had no reason to want to believe or experience anything like that. And then In 2001, I rented a 3-bedroomed Victorian workers' cottage in Hertford. And with my then boyfriend, who was violent, unfortunately, this is the thing, listening to your previous, the person that was on previously who had
Yeah.
their own experiences, there was a lot of similarities between us. That's what prompted me to contact you. So I was in a domestically violent relationship at that time. I won't go into details, there's no need, but I just thought it was interesting. So I lived with him at the time as my partner, and we had a flatmate as well, Dell. Dell was hardly ever there. I was working nights at the time. So we were all in the house at different times of day. So I was a night worker. I'd finish work at 6 in the morning. I wasn't home until like 7 in the morning, and then I'd go to sleep. My partner at the time was a chef. He was quite often doing split shifts. And Dell was just, he had a girlfriend that lived somewhere else. So he was backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. Anyway, so I was really excited to move into this place. I was 20, I think I was 23. And yeah, the excitement waned quite quickly because there just felt like there was an atmosphere in there. I can't really explain it for no reason at all.
I'll just show people the image that you obviously sent me some photos of the
Yeah,
property. So obviously
yeah,
this is a kind of Victoria. I was looking at it, you'd think in England this is kind of typical Victorian terraced house in the middle of Hertford. So it was a
yeah.
3-story building. Do you actually know how old the property was?
I don't know. I just know it was a Victorian workers' cottage, probably linked to the railway that was close by.
Yeah. I will just say to anybody watching, I won't give the exact address of this property unless you want me to, of course, Steve. But
No, no, no.
the the I d- the actual name of the street did change. So the
Yes.
street name now is not the street name as it used to be, which is what I
No.
was trying to find kind of records and things. So a pretty old property, 3-story. You're like I say, you're renting this place in 2001. I'll just give let's kind of see there like a very. I mean, was it 3-bedroom? I would say 2 or 3-bedroom.
Yes, it was three beds, and the kitchen was on in the sort of the ground floor was sort of the lounge, and then you'd have a hallway where the staircase up to my bedroom, and then there was a lower ground floor which was the kitchen and the bathroom. So yeah, the it was a lower ground floor below the ground, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously you moved in 2001. Like I say, you're pretty young. Like I say, not a great situation, in your relationship. You're like I say, 24 years old, doing these night shifts.
Yeah.
Um, had you been there long before you started to experience things, or not?
No, no time at all. Within a couple of weeks, I was just feeling really edgy. Had no idea why. Like, obviously, I was in a awkward relationship, but aside from that, it was the atmosphere. It was kind of thick. It was weird. It was just off. And I couldn't really. And I just sort of shrugged it off, as you do. You don't really kind of want to read too much into anything. And I wanted to enjoy being there, but I was quite often there on my own during the day because, like I said, we're on shift work. Within, I'm guessing like the first week, I think, I don't know, it's a long time ago, but very quickly, I was only there 6 months in total because I
Right.
couldn't open any longer than 6 months. Within, say, the first week, I would hear someone walking up the stairs to my bedroom. Everything, all the activity centered around the upper floor, which is where my bedroom was. I'll just give you just context. There's the master bedroom with a little ensuite toilet. Then there's a landing from the master bedroom with a little recessed shower cubicle. And then the landing goes onto the second bedroom. So it all happened up there, nothing on any other floor. So it started off with me hearing very clear footsteps coming up the stairs because the stairs were next to my bedroom. And you can tell that it's the stairs because they make a certain creak on certain steps. So
Yeah.
it's unmistakably the stairs. So I call out, "Is that you, Kev?" No answer. "Dale, is that you?" No answer. I'd ring them, find out where they were, because mobile phones did exist in those days, guys. Not smartphones, but yeah, the old Nokias. But I remember calling bases and they were like, "What are you talking about? Like, I'm at work, I go away. What are you doing?" Like, So there was no one else there. And it just kind of, my heckles went up. And I distinctly remember the first time I tried to do my makeup in the mirror in the ensuite toilet that came off of my bedroom. I'd look in the mirror and my eyes would stream. It was like there was stinging. If Kieran O'Keefe were listening, he was probably, oh, it's mold or something somewhere.
Of course he would.
But you know what I mean? I am, can I just say, I am a skeptic. I am, despite all the experiences, which there've been a whole battery of them. I am skeptical because I think it's important to have a balanced outlook on everything. Anyway, so my eyes would sting looking in the mirror. I couldn't do my makeup in this mirror. I just couldn't do it. Now remember this because this is important. So I never did my makeup in there again. I go to the toilet in there if I was desperate. I always did my makeup on my bedroom windowsill in a little vanity mirror. And to be honest, other than sleeping, I would just be desperate to get out of the upstairs as soon as possible, kind of thing. I spent as little time up there as possible. And this kind
just be clear as well. Obviously, you know, like I say, you say you're skeptical. I'm skeptical as well, and there's plenty of skeptics in the chat who are probably thinking, they're just creaky stairs. They're not just somebody. It's not just somebody walking. It's kind of, it'll be the time of day. It'll be when the heating's gone off or the heating's come on, and they expand and contract, and that's what's. How, you know, in terms of your certainty with it sounding like somebody literally walking up the stairs towards you or towards your bedroom, how certain are you that it was almost identical to somebody literally walking up every step?
It just was, because there was a certain creak on the third step up, and the step from the landing was always like it was an old house.
Yeah,
that was just baffling, and it would just stop at the top of the steps. Anyway, so, you know, again, I try to forget about all this and just think, oh, it's weird. Maybe it's just the wrong lighting in this little ensuite, and maybe I misheard something, or, you know, bear in mind I'm at an end of terrace here. So there's no one directly next to me the other side. And the stairs were the side of the end of terrace, not the other side, if you know what I mean. So I couldn't put it down to neighbours or anything like that. And then, say a couple of weeks later, I mean, I don't know, this is you know, a long time ago, and it only happened within a 6-month period, but I was getting ready for work. This would have been in the afternoon again, broad daylight. I'm getting ready for work, and as I said to you about the arrangement of the upstairs, there's a recessed shower, which is an odd thing to have in a landing, but there was a recessed shower, and you know, like those concertina doors with the slats.
Oh yeah.
So there's a shower cubicle on the glass door, then you've got a slats. And I was having a shower and I had my stereo on because I was so scared being up there and being on my own. I'd had the stereo on like 11 volume, and I'd be singing really loudly because I didn't want to hear, do you know what I mean? Like a kid would. It's like, no, 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 no. Didn't want to hear anything that I didn't want to hear. So I was singing really loudly. And then I'm still showering. I've looked through the slats and I see this black mass move right to left, and I'm startled, and I'm like, is that Dale? Can't be Dale, he's not here. Suddenly my stereo turns up full blast. So it's gone from 11 to 28 or 30 or whatever it is. I was at my most vulnerable, and this is another consistent thing with the last person that had an experience. They talked about when they were in the shower, and that really got me, and I was like, oh my god, this is mad, you know. So I remember grabbing the towel. I ran. I mean, I had no choice. I had to run. I was trapped upstairs. I had to run out. I turned the stereo down. There's no way it could do it by itself. It's just not possible. There was no one else there, because my instinct was to go straight into Dell's room, go into my room, go into the ensuite. There's no one else there, and I didn't hear anyone going down the stairs. So I'm ringing both the men frantically, like, where are you guys? Again, you know, they're not there. And I just remember grabbing a load of clothes and my bag and getting ready in the downstairs bathroom, which is lower ground floor, and then just running for the train to work. And it was talking to people at work when I got there. I was just absolutely terrified, and they were just looking like, what? You're mad, you know? Really, really, really difficult thing. And spoke to my partner and my flatmate as well when they eventually got home, and they never experienced anything weird. So it was just really really bizarre. Anyway,
Obviously, you were there during the day because they say
yes.
you do these night shifts. So you were there during the day. You know, your flatmate, your boyfriend weren't. That obviously they'd be working during the day as well. Did this happen mainly during the day, or did it happen in the evenings as well that you remember?
No, it was always during the day, apart from the one time, which is where this kind of climax, the whole thing just sort of came to a head and I had to quit my tenancy. That was at night. But as I say, I was a grafter at 24. I was working 6 days a week, 12-hour shifts. And so there may well have been things going on at night, but I don't think whatever this was affected by anybody else in the
Yeah.
house. Just me.
And do you think you were, like I say, do you therefore think you were a focus for what's there? Because if the men, I'm assuming that you know you'd spoken to the men in question and they hadn't experienced anything. So was it
Nothing.
always you that had experienced these things?
Yes, it was only me. And I've spoken only recently to my flatmate from all that time ago. He's now in his 60s. And I said to him, look, as we're on the phone, I just want to ask you again, Marsgate, oh, Marsgate Drive. I said, can you just confirm that you definitely weren't playing a prank on me? There was something. He said, why are you still going on about this house?
Yeah.
I said, because when you experience something like that, it never leaves you. You need answers. Something that was that. I haven't even reached the climax yet. This is just so. Yeah, it was just me. It was just me. Other than on the day I left, my dad felt something, but he didn't divulge anything at the time.
Did you feel it getting worse as time went on,
Yeah,
or was ramping up that you think?
yeah, 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 yeah. 100%. And then the final thing was, so it's still it's still a bit. 1 second.
It's all right. Take your time. It's fine.
I have to vape. That'll sort me out. So I'd had a very, very difficult time with my partner, and he'd threatened me with a knife. He was a chef, so he used to carry knives around with him, as you do. He was very drunk. He was an alcoholic, and he'd threatened me with a knife, and then I'd pushed him and he fell down a few stairs, and then I sort of bundled him out the front door, shut the door, and he dropped his keys, which is fortunate, so he couldn't get back in the house.
Yeah.
Closed all the windows and sort of like, sod you. I didn't call the police, but I called my best friend. I told her what had happened and I said, I need you, I'll be there in like 20 minutes. Just don't let him in. If he comes back, call the police. I'll be with you and I'll stay with you tonight. So she turned up, bless her. We had dinner. I talked to her about what had happened. And then she said, look, I'm going to stay in bed with you tonight. And if that makes you feel safer, she said, to be honest, from what you've told me about the place, I'd feel safer if I was with you, in bed with you. I said, yeah, that's fine. So anyway, we're talking probably till 12:30, half midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, something like that.
Yeah.
And all there is, I mean, the lights are all off, and this house was on a light industrial estate. Okay, so during the night you could hear a pin drop, yeah, because
Yeah.
it's in the industry around here. So all you see is just a little bit of light coming in through the window, which is from the street light outside. There's nobody else in the house. You know, my ex is somewhere else. My flatmate's at his girlfriend's. So me and her just said goodnight to each other. And all of a sudden, there's a fireplace over the other side of the room that was bricked up, but nevertheless you could see it was a chimney breast. You suddenly hear this heavy breathing, which, if anyone's seen the Ouija Brothers episode of, they're at some sort of army place and there's a black shadow and you can hit, and when I heard that, it made me cringe. It's like a growl. It's like like someone with emphysema or something. It was coming from the fireplace towards us at a slow pace. We can't see anything. There's nothing there. There's just, you can see because the light in the room as from the streetlight. There is nothing there. This disembodied voice or breathing comes up to our faces about sort of hand's distance away, and me and her are just looking at each other. I haven't said what I'm hearing to her. She's not said what she's hearing to me. We're just looking at each other, and her eyes are streaming, and my eyes are streaming with fear. And I just said to her, I remember saying, "Can you hear that?" And she said, "Yeah, can you hear that?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Tell me what you hear." She said, "Heavy breathing." I said, "Yeah, me too." And I just went, "Leave us alone." And all of a sudden, this voice or this breathing veered off to the right into the ensuite toilet, and it stopped. And she went, "I'm getting the keys. We're going." We rushed out, got in her car, and I stayed at her house. And I phoned the agent and I phoned my parents, and trying to explain that to my parents, I didn't tell them for years.
Yeah.
I just said, "Look, things aren't good with me and Kev at the time, and I just need to leave. Can I move back home for a bit?" So I
I,
quit my tenancy and I lost my deposit.
I was going to say obviously the just trying to go. I know they say that it sounds horrific, but as much as possible, am I assuming that the kind of the heavy breathing, the gag, whatever that you kind of almost you felt was like somebody had emphysema or bronchitis or something like that? Did it sound like a male,
Yeah,
like a deeper sound rather than
yeah.
a female?
I'll try and do it. It was like a repeatedly.
Wow. And obviously,
Horrendous.
I mean, obviously in that kind of situation, I mean, it must, in a weird way, afterwards, it must have been good. You must have been glad of the fact that there was a friend there who witnessed it, not
Yeah,
just you.
absolutely. I would have thought I was losing my mind,
Yeah,
frankly. So that was that experience, and then I split up with that guy. She'd probably be pleased to hear. And then I got cancer in 2003, and I was still at home at that point. And 2004, me and the same friend, my friend's mum, unfortunately, committed suicide when she was 8, and she'd always been interested in mediums and going to see psychics and trying to contact her mum. And I used to say to her, "Oh God, darling, please don't waste your money. There's so many charlatans out there." And but I said I'd go with her to this
yeah,
particular time. So we went to, it was somewhere near Epping Forest, actually, a place called Kelvedon Hatch. She'd done her research. I said, "Look, you know my thoughts on this. I'll come with you for support, but I don't want anything to do with it. I'll just sit in the car and smoke cigarettes." So that's what I did. Anyway, she went in, she came out about an hour and 10 minutes later, frantically knocking on the window. "Roll the window down." "What is it?" She said, "I've got a message for you." For me. She went, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a message." I have to remember what she said. "The message is for Danny, but Danny's a girl. Danny's not a boy. Danny's a girl. And there's this guy, and da, da, da." And she told me the whole thing. And this message had come through this medium for me from a guy that I didn't even know had died, who I used to work with. And it was all very sort of very, very specific about the information. So that kind of changed my mind on mediums. So that was interesting. The medium didn't mention anything about our experience or anything like that, but still, that kind of opened me up. And I feel like since this 2001 business happened, more and more and more things started to happen to me. And also since surviving cancer. I don't know if that's a trauma thing. I know there's still a lot of research that needs to be done on trauma and how it affects the brain,
yeah.
and metaphysical stuff, which
I, I,
interests me.
I was going to
Yeah.
say that very similar to the previous kind of eyewitness had with her experience of being in a violent domestic abuse relation, and it was a really shit relationship.
Yeah.
Yours seems very similar.
Yeah.
Do you think there was a link between the stress, the anxiety, the fear, and everything that was going on in your relationship and the activity that was going on at that time?
No.
Do you not? Why not?
No.
What makes you say that?
Because it persisted.
Right. Okay.
So whether this thing had I don't know. There's so many theories, isn't there? I mean, you know, like I said to you before 2001, I had no interest in paranormal stuff whatsoever. Now I'm like so clued up on everything. I mean, I've got all the ghost books. I watch all the channels. You know, I'm very open. You know, first I thought it was a stone tape theory thing. Could it be that? You know, and I revisited this house years later, which I'll get onto. But yeah, so in 2012, I revisited this house with an author. Just to give you the context, I was managing a hotel locally, and the local newspaper photographer come in wanting to interview the guy that owned the hotel about
Yeah.
doing a feature because he'd heard the hotel was haunted. I spoke to the owner. The owner said, "No, I'm not interested in that kind of publicity. I'm not interested." So I said, "Look, I've got a story for you." So I told him about what happened to me, and he was like, "Wow." He said, "Okay." He said, "I'd like to link you up with someone called Ruth Stratton." I said, "Who's she?" And he said that she's a local author, historian, paranormal investigator. I said, "Great. Okay." So we met at a local pub, me and Ruth. This was in 2012. I told her my story, and she wanted to feature it in a book called Haunted Hartford, which it is featured in. Although it's quite a, you know, a shrunk down version. But she said, "Come on, we're only around the corner from the house. Let's go back there." I was like, I can't go back. I can't go back. She went, "Of course you
How
can.
many
You're
years
with me."
later? How many years later was this? About
2012. So
2012. So, as I
11
said,
years
good
later.
11 years later then.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
still couldn't. Oh, I was just, I really don't want to go back there. She went, "Come on. I just want to see the house." So, okay. She said, "You're with me, you'll be fine." So anyway, we're walking down and she went, "Which one is it?" I said, "Oh, it's the one at the end." I didn't want to look at it. And one at the end. She said, "Come on, come on." It's actually quite amusing. She said, which is this your window?" And as we looked up, I'm not joking you, there was a face looking out of that top window. You need to put the camera on me now.
Sorry. Let me just
No, no, no,
hang on 1 second. I'm just going to give people to those who missed
no, that's
the
fine. Yeah,
photos
yeah.
before.
But
But yeah, carry
that
on.
top window, me and the author look up at the same time, and there is a face looking down at us doing this.
Oh God, that's all
I,
you need to see.
I scream, run away. I was like, "Fuck you. Why did you make me go back here?" And she's laughing. And I was like, "What kind of sinister, weird stuff is this?" So
Yeah.
she's laughing at me, and I'm terrified, running. So I look back at her and I'm like, "Why are you laughing?" She went, "No, come back." I said, "I'm not going back." She said, "Danny, come back here. Look at," she said, "It's a girl doing her makeup. Eyeliner."
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But from outside, that was bloody terrifying. And then I suddenly thought, "Oh my God, she has to do her makeup on the windowsill as well, same as I did." And I put two and two together. And Ruth said, "Well, I'm knocking on that door." I said, "You can't do that. You don't want to scare the people that live there. It's not." It didn't feel right. It didn't sit right with me to do that.
Yeah.
But she did it. And this girl, I don't know if she was, I don't know, like if it was a one night stand or whatever, but she said, "Oh, it's my boyfriend's place. I don't really know, like, bye," kind of thing. But that was kind of amusing looking back on that.
And I'm just going back slightly because obviously you kind of you left the tenancy because I mean when the incident happened with the breathing you kind of did something drastic in that you had this, was it 6 month tenancy contract to stay there, and then you left
Yeah.
before that contract, so you kind of missed out on money. It's not as if you kind of did it on a whim kind of thing. You was terrified of what
Yeah,
happened.
absolutely.
Um, there's one thing that you mentioned about your dad had to get a box from the loft. Do
That's
you want to
right.
talk about that?
Yeah. Yeah. So what? Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that actually. Yeah. So on the day that I quit, or that I had to leave for moving out day, there were some boxes in the loft that Kev had put up there. Obviously, he'd long gone. I've got rid of him. And I said, "Dad, can you do me a favour? Can you just get the boxes out of the loft for me?" So yeah, no problem. Now, bearing in mind, my dad knows nothing about what's happened because I'm a bit embarrassed by it all. Anyway, he's gone up, opened the thingy, and he's popped his head and he's gone, "I'm sorry, sweetheart, I can't do that." I said, "What is it, your back?" He said, "No, no, I just can't, I can't, I'm sorry, I can't do it." He said, "Ask Del to do it."
Did your dad know much about what had gone on, or
He knew
had he known at
nothing.
that point?
I hadn't told him anything until about 2018. So I just kept my parents because I knew that. Well, I didn't know, but it's not the kind of thing you want to talk about, really. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel safe talking about it in this kind of space, but not your average people or your parents or people that might,
Yeah. No.
suddenly think, oh,
Yeah.
you need a, psychiatrist or something. You know what I mean? But he definitely he said, I just can't go up there. It's something not right up there. I don't like it. Latterly, I found out that there was a fire at that house. It was actually the author, Ruth Stratton, that had done a bit of digging at the museum, and found out. And if you have a look at the photo of the side of the house,
Yep. This one here.
yeah, you can see where that window is on the side.
Yep.
That wasn't there before, but that was what I believe to be a portal of some sort, which is what the ensuite bathroom was. That is where the entity or whatever it was went into, and that's where I couldn't do my makeup in that mirror. My eyes would stream. Directly above that, you can see the red brick where the roof has been replaced,
Right. Repaired. I see. I see.
repaired,
Yeah. Yeah.
or
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So honestly didn't know anything about that. There was no suggestibility involved in any of this. It was this is all found out afterwards. That was the bedroom. It didn't look anything like that at the time.
No, but in terms of what's interesting in terms of, obviously you showed the kind of the bedroom here that like obviously it's different from how you remember it, but
Yeah, this is an
this
estate agent's photo.
you mentioned it. You thought that it was very much kind of a linked to you, and you felt that you were kind of a focus for these things. Did you ever get anything in the bedroom itself, or was it just the sound of things coming up to your bedroom? Did you have anything in the bedroom?
Other than the heavy breathing, no. It was mainly around the shower cubicle, which was recessed into the landing, and the ensuite toilet.
Yeah, it's
All
like I said,
concentrated on that area. So the ensuite toilet, as we're looking at the photo, the bed is still where it was, but the ensuite toilet's off to the left.
right. I see. Um, would it's been like I say, it's been 24 years since you were tenant in this place. Would you go inside that property?
No.
So
But
like I say, in terms of,
but maybe I would with the right people. I'd probably go in there with Kieran O'Keefe. I think.
yeah,
Um, but no, I just no. Why would you? It's no. It's just. But the it didn't end there. This is the thing, and that's why I'm not sure that it was all to do with the trauma, because I've got a bit of a list here. Things after all that business, forget Marshgate Drive now, on to a different time. So 2012 onwards. So in 2012, just around the corner from Marshgate Drive, I used to be a DJ. I was a DJ professionally for 15 years. And I'd just got a deal with this venue, and the venue's around the corner from Marshgate Drive. And I'm sitting there one night with the venue owner and the manager, just discussing terms and whatnot. And all of a sudden I look up and there's a shadow figure. And behind her, she's playing guitar, actually, she was a guitarist. And the shadow figure's directly behind her. When I say shadow figure, it's thick black, clearly defined outline. And my first thought was, it's Barry. Now, Barry was a guy that I used to work for. He was about 6'4". His feet were like that. He's unmistakable. It was him. But Barry's alive, or so I thought.
right.
I then found out the next day he passed away. Suicide. And of course, I'm like, what's going on? Have I seen a crisis apparition? What I now understand that could have been a crisis apparition.
Yeah.
Again, so all these things are starting to, and I feel like I'm opening up, like I'm becoming more aware of synchronicities, and like I'm not necessarily looking for them. Things are just happening to me. So that was interesting. Then I move into the flat with my current partner, who I've been with for nearly 20 years now. He's lovely, absolutely sweetheart. I'd moved into his bachelor pad, his flat, and he'd seen some shadowy figures, or not masses, shall we say, moving right to left in the hallway. But then things like that you could put down to shadows from cars moving outside, or
Yeah.
you know. So, and he's a proper cynic. We're not even talking skeptic; he's a cynic, right? Um, so, but he'd said, "Oh, you know, I've felt things," and I'm like, "Have you?" Like, and I talked to him about it, but he's like, "Oh, it's just being around computers, infrasound, I suppose he refers to." I'm like, "Yeah, no, it could be, it could be." Anyway, a lot of things started to happen to me there, and it would be after I'd come in from work as a DJ, and I'd pack my equipment in certain areas of the flat, and I'd have lights and tripods and whatever, and I'd be sitting there with friends at the end of the night, just winding down, having a few drinks, and out the corner of my eye, me and my friend Kelly just saw this light just go flip like that and fall on the floor. And all the activity in that flat happened around a certain light switch. But again, people that were visiting, there were lots of independent witnesses in my boyfriend's flat to things happening, and then they'd tell me about it. And I hadn't even told them about my experiences. They were just saying, "Oh, I felt really weird in your flat when I was sat here," or and then the speakers, I had like, those old computer monitor speakers, like really old ones. So you've got like a treble dial and everything on. They would come on of their own accord. When they were powered off, they just turn on. There was so many like little things.
Do you think it
Anyway,
was you? Do you think it was you?
you,
In,
possibly.
in, in some strange, because obviously there's the theory that in some way, shape, or form, we may be responsible for some of this. Do you think you are responsible for whatever reason you may be responsible for kind of some of this activity?
I'm open-minded. I really don't know. I really, really don't know. It's almost like I developed a high extra sense of perception since all this happened to me for no reason. I wasn't looking for it. I wasn't, I've had things that I thought might be time slips where I've been somewhere, like I was walking along Bethnal Green Road of all places, and suddenly I stop outside this block of flats, but I'm not seeing a block of flats, I'm seeing a church. And like my partner's just forgotten that he's not realised, sorry, that I'm not carrying on walking with him. So he's talking to me and he's far away, and I'm there with my mobile phone going, "Where am I? I'm on the corner of this road and this bus stop," and I was making notes, and he was looking going, "What are you doing?" And then he'd roll his eyes like, "Oh my god, it's happened again." Like,
Right.
it's like
Okay.
she's saying something again. But I made notes or coordinates of where I was. And then when I was doing ancestry research a couple of years later, I found out that that block of flats is exactly the site of a church called St James the Less, which is where a lot of my family were married. Or, what? Why is this happening?
And
It's
like
bizarre.
you said at the start that you're kind of skeptical. Are you still
Yeah.
skeptical with these different incidents? Or are you kind of how do you look at it, or how do you kind of analyze it for yourself?
I'm waiting for I'm waiting to talk to somebody else that've had these experiences to sort of converse about it, because I don't know what to make of it. I don't know if like I said before, like if it's a metaphysical representation of trauma, or you gain these things when you survive death, or I don't know. I really don't know. All I know is that I didn't ask for any of it, and I've been told repeatedly that with the right teachings, I could help a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I don't. I don't know. I don't feel comfortable with that. I just um the yeah. I don't know. I don't know. But it's not just happened to me. So what that flat I was telling you about, where I lived with my now boyfriend, he still owns the flat. We left it and moved into somewhere bigger. He rents it out to this tenant. We're privately managing it between me and them.
Yeah.
We don't know the tenants. The tenant contacts me because I've got experience with the estate agency. They contact me and say, "Oh, we've got a problem with the shower anyway, but whatever." I said, "Yeah, we'll be round to sort it out. Apart from the shower, are you happy? Is everything okay?" And this girl who I don't know says, "Well, actually, as you mention it, no, some weird stuff's been happening." And then she sends me this barrage, like essay of experiences she's had in that flat, where she's got twin babies and the babies' bottles are being the steriliser one minute and next minute they'll be on the middle of the kitchen floor. So I then go to my very cynical partner. There you go. It's all there. And he went, don't encourage her. Don't say anything about what's happened. I need the rent, you know. I was like, it's not just me then, is it? Do you know what I mean? It's happening
Yeah.
to other people. So yeah, I told my family and my close friends about this probably about 2018. I sort of, after the whole Bethnal Green Road experience and seeing the church, and I've got to just tell people there's something going on here. I've opened up, you know, and then 2019, my mum passes away. But when she was in hospital, she turned around and she said to me, I've had my first experience. I said, what experience? She said, I saw mum and dad. Your mum and dad? Oh, really? Oh, that's nice, mum. How old were they? She said, they were in their 50s. She said, but I saw them. So you're right. You were right all along, which is kind of sweet. And then 2020, my mum dies in the January. And I'm on the phone to her sister telling her that my mum's passed away. And suddenly we get a cross line, but we're on a mobile phone and I can hear my mum's voice. Now, I've heard Kieran O'Keefe mention this and say that actually, yeah, that's quite a common thing. People hearing their parents after they've passed. My
Yeah.
brother even heard my mum calling out to him after she passed away. So that was another weird experience. Then my dad passes away in 2022. And this is where we get to the crux of it. I'd really like your audience to get involved in this because Dad emailed me after he died. And I sent you a picture of it, didn't I,
Yeah.
Justin?
I'll show you it now. Yeah. So obviously, before I show this, obviously he like I say he died, and this is was it like it was this like a clothing company, like a receipt for you'd bought something online, you get as you do if you buy something online, you get a receipt for what you've purchased, and that's that.
They're a very small business, clothing company. And so it's not like, your standard kind of like Next or whatever, and it's an easy returns process. You have to actually physically contact them, wait for them to get the order number. So it's a little bit more involved. So I was trying to find this order number. So I go into the email and I found it, and then suddenly this message from my dad comes up with it embedded within the content of an email.
There you go.
So
This is the email. So it's obviously Religion Clothing to Danny D. Cutmore, your return request for order number, blah, 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 blah. And then straight afterwards, for no apparent reason or any kind of logical reason, there is a message seemingly from your dad.
yeah, and that's exactly how he would normally communicate with me, is by email. And he was always sweetie pies and daddykins, he's very, very cute. We were really cutesy with each other. I was proper daddy's girl. So that's exactly what he'd be saying. Like, hi, sweetie pies, love daddy kit. Is very cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea, in terms of the how did it go? Had you had any previous, I don't know how often you kind of messaged each other things, but did you read that and go, oh, that links to something in particular, or it may have been linked to an
Yeah.
event in the past, or do you have
No.
any ideas?
It linked to something. I've been injured by the vaccine, COVID vaccine, and I've been seeing a lot of different people to try to establish what on earth's going on with my inner ear and my brain and all the rest of it, my eyes. And yeah, it was following an appointment, so I thought that was quite, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I mean, the people in the chat will probably, because there'll be plenty of opinions on this one about how that message could possibly have appeared at the bottom of a clothing receipt, an online clothing receipt. I mean, I was looking at thinking, or is it possible that you'd somehow attached an old text to an email and then it's got kind of caught
I
up in
really
the
don't
system and
know.
things like that?
But I've got the email that I would happily, if someone is in the field of coding, understands how that might have happened, I'd really like to know. I'm not saying that that's necessarily from him. I'd love it to be, obviously, who wouldn't? But I'd like to know how that's possible. So I actually have the email that I could forward to you, Justin,
Yeah.
not just a screenshot, because anyone could just copy and paste that onto, do you know what I mean? But it's genuine. Everything that I've said is genuine.
What's your thoughts on this one? Did you think when you saw it? Did you think immediately think, oh, my dad has sent me a message, or were you obviously much more skeptical and
It made me
thinking,
smile.
how did that get there, type of thing?
It made me smile. It made me smile. But then I was like, whoa, this is very weird.
Yeah.
How's that? How that's never happened before. I've never received content from one email within something else. So, and then my friend who was with me at the time said, let's reply. Why don't you reply? So, okay. So I replied going, hi, Daddy Kids. Yeah, when I go, love sweetie pies, And then I never got a response back from Religion Clothing. Religion Clothing must be like, what's going on here?
Who is this woman? Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Mm.
it's really odd. I mean, I do you know what's I mean, I'm thinking if Callum Cook, Dr. Callum Cooper actually watches this at some point, this would be quite an interesting one because obviously he has done, he's written books and about telephone calls from the dead. So the fact that
Oh, right, okay.
you had like a cross line and seemingly heard your mum after she passed away,
Yeah.
and then digitally this is these things he has talked a lot about how messages have come through different forms, not just along a telephone wire but actually digitally and other means as well. So
Yeah.
if Dr. Callum Cooper may be very interested in this, and certainly with the other incident where you had that kind of cross line, you felt you heard your mum speaking as well, because that's very much what he's into. Um,
Oh, yeah,
just
please do. I'd be interested to get his thoughts on it. I mean, I'm not suggesting anything. I know I've had a lot of weird experiences, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's trauma based. I can see in the chat, guys. I don't know if it's trauma based or what, but it's all genuine and happened to me. To the point where I'd come out and wanted to share it in this space.
yeah,
To get
exactly.
your opinion. I'm open to criticism, but yeah, just interested to hear anyone's thoughts on it. Really, whether you think
Yeah,
I'm
I
mad
was
or
just said
not.
it. I mean that's I've just kind of just obviously put it on the screen that if people have got questions for you, D, obviously kind of keep it respectful and everything else, but this is your experience, and I could tell from what you was talking about, in 2001 incident, that it really, really has stuck with you. That whole building, in terms of the instance with the shower and the footsteps and obviously the heavy breathing and things, it has stayed with you.
It
So
has. Yeah.
do you still reflect on that a lot, or is it something you've just wanted to kind of get over?
No, I've wanted to get over it, but it's really got me interested in parapsychology and from a skeptical point, standpoint. I mean, watching the Uncanny series is so comforting to me. Some of these people, what they've experienced, is just like, oh my god, there's kind of snippets of different people's stories that I can take from and just feel some sort of validation, I
Yeah.
guess. But I'd love someone to explain it away and just say this is what it is, and I'd be like, okay, fine, cool. I don't like I said, these experiences happened to me before I even lost anybody. I had no reason. There was no suggestibility. There was no reason for me to desperately want to believe in this, that, or the other.
Yeah.
It's just happened.
And obviously, the people watching now, like I say, by all means, if you don't have a question for Dee, but you have your thoughts or your theories around what she may have been going through or why she may have been going through it, put it in the chat, because we've got about another 10 minutes or so, guys. So yeah, put down your thoughts, theories, everything else, like I say, in the chat. And obviously, Dee will just, I think as well, and I do know for a fact there's a couple of people in the chat right now that have had similar experiences to yourself, from a similar issues, from a similar amounts of trauma and everything else. They have had similar experiences, so it'll be really, really interesting to see, from the chat, what those people, I won't obviously won't name names, but obviously they think of obviously your whole experience. Okay, one here from Roger saying, Dee, to what extent have you documented all these experiences? Have you reached out to anyone to help with them? I think somebody was mentioning as well, have you kind of logged anything? Have you written everything down?
No, I wish I had. I wish I kept a diary, because I am aware that again, listening to Kieran O'Keefe, I'm a big Kieran fan, listening to how he, on the uncanny thing, it's like our memory we can lose a lot of our memory over the years, and sometimes we can piece things together that didn't actually happen. This is why I'm grateful that it happened to me with somebody else there. But, no, I haven't. I haven't documented them anywhere. Oh, no, that's a lie, actually. I contacted the Paranormal Database, I think it's called, years ago, and I just wanted to submit my story so that it's there somewhere. And obviously, it's in the Haunted Hartford book as well. But
Yeah. Yeah, somebody was mentioning about Hartford. That's Hartford in Hertfordshire,
yeah,
not Hartford HART. There's
that's right. Yeah, it's
HERTFORD.
HERT. That's correct. Yeah. Yeah.
I will just say, because you did mention the street, so therefore I'm going to say it now. The original street in Hartford was a place called the home was on Marshgate Drive,
Yeah.
which was number 27 Marshgate Drive. In the past, it was Gas House Lane in Hartford.
Yeah.
I do know that because I tried to do a search of Marshgate Lane, and find my history, but because I don't pay for it, somebody might pay for it or have it on there. So if you could do a search of 27 Gas House Lane, I would be really, really interested to find out whether anybody who had died in that property died from bronchial issues, pneumonia, or breathing difficulties, and whether it was on their death certificates. That would be really good if there's a historian watching. Anyway, one quick one from Gareth saying, have you ever had grief counselling?
No. I'm having therapy at the moment, which is kind of covering aspects. But obviously, my parents very recently died in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
So, and I've kind of had a lot to deal with, like their estates and everything, and COVID and blah blah blah. So no, I do believe in the survival of the human spirit. I do have that belief, but I'm not suggesting that everything that's happened to me is ghostly.
Yeah. Cherry Fizz saying, did you have any paranormal experiences earlier in life before 2001?
Not a thing, nothing. Wasn't remotely interested in anything paranormal, didn't like ghost stories, was scared of it actually, didn't like horror. No one I know had died, nothing, absolutely normal, nothing until I lived in that house, nothing.
I don't know whether this is Ali or whether this is Sadie, but they're saying, I have had similar experiences, especially growing up and being told ghosts and spirits don't exist. But hey, look at me now. It all makes sense. If that's Ali, medium. So he will know all about it. Okay. One here from Anna saying, question, hi Dee, thank you for your experiences. I wondered whether you did any historical research into the home or any deaths, etc. It's a little bit like what I've mentioned.
Yeah, no, I didn't, but I let the author of the book do that, and she did say, she alerted me to the fact that she spoke to the museum, and yes, there was a fire there. Look, the bricks had been replaced at a certain point of the house, which happened to be directly above the area that I was experiencing everything in. She said it was a child or something, but I didn't really look into it. I'm sort of a bit scared too, in a way. I just don't want to kind of go back there.
Yeah.
Really.
Misbehaving. So first of all, I believe you. Have you ever suffered sleep paralysis?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't.
There you go.
Thank God.
It's very, very quick. My mum used to have suffered from sleep paralysis, and it sounded as scary as shit. Right, really, really properly scary.
Horrendous. Yeah, no, no.
Lou is saying, thank you for sharing your experiences. There are more people experiencing similar. Do you find it easier to accept your dad's passing now that you had that kind of, was that religious message? Do you find, do you find it a comfort?
Yes, but I talk to him all the time anyway. My dad, and my mum. Yeah, I guess it was comforting because as soon as I got it, it made me smile. But obviously I'm a skeptic, so I was thinking, okay, can somebody please, who works with code, who can understand, like, look into this and understand how that could have happened. So it's not I'm not jumping to oh yes, it's definitely paranormal, because that's, I follow all the skeptics channels on YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm a skeptic, do you know what I mean? But a skeptic that's had a lot of stuff happen, and but I want a rational explanation. I don't want to just jump to conclusions.
Mike's asking, did you contact the clothing company about that email? Or did they say, you sent one back to her, but did they reply back to you, or did they say anything
No,
about
they
it?
didn't reply back. They probably thought, what? No, I never got. Imagine being the other person, sweetie pies, daddy kids, what's going on? No, no, they didn't reply, but I did reply to them. But I didn't. I thought I'd just leave it. Again, you know, I'm actually not well at the moment. I just don't want to go down a rabbit hole of too many things. I just thought I'd speak on YouTube to you and to the skeptic community and see what people's thoughts were on these things.
Yeah, absolutely right. Jem Treadwin, I mean, I know you mentioned a couple of things after that main incident, but she's saying, have you experienced anything paranormal after living there? And also, I suppose, up to modern day, are you still experiencing anything?
No, no. Uh, After Dad's email, I've had like a premonition that ended up coming true. My friend's no longer talking to me because of it, but other than that, no, no, nothing of that nature, nothing remotely like that.
One here is saying, have you ever considered going to your local spiritualist church to ask about sitting within their open circles?
I have, but I'm a bit reluctant uh, because it's a religion.
Yeah, that's fine. That's okay. I'm just going to just make. I'm just trying to go. I'm whizzing through the chat. I'm just trying to make sure I've got any kind of questions. I'm kind of going through them and things. Um, so I just going to check. Some people like say, yeah, some people kind of agreeing that sleep paralysis is awful. Yeah, I think my mum thought there was something demonic in my bedroom because I remember I was at university. This is years ago now. My dad was snoring. My mum decided to sleep in my room because I was at uni, and she had sleep paralysis, and she thought there was something demonic in the room with her. Pinned her down onto the bed. She felt like a hot poker pain going down her back, and something kind of growling in her ear. And she couldn't move for fright until my dad came in the next morning with a cup of tea for her. So
Oh
yeah,
God,
sleep paralysis is absolutely terrifying.
well, that's quite an
So
extreme one. That one.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that's actually quite common. The whole thing of, and she felt the whole rest of the night. She felt something was in the dark corner watching her. So yeah, it's interesting that you feel as though you've never had that, and yet,
No, I haven't.
some of
Because
the.
my partner's had it, and it's sleep paralysis is where you actually see something.
There we go. Nice kind of, because you mentioned you loved Uncanny, and actually your story you submitted to Danny Robbins, did you not, for Uncanny?
Yeah, we spoke, but and he said, "Oh, I'll get the researchers to contact you," which they may well have done, but I don't answer. I get so many blooming advertising calls come through for this, that, and the other. And if I say an 0203 number or whatever, I just ignore it. Um, I think that the ones that have got through, they have so many more independent witnesses that it makes it more, gives it a bit more weight. So I'm not surprised that mine didn't get in, but he was definitely interested by it.
Yeah, absolutely. John Boy saying, what was your favorite case on Uncanny? Could you relate to any particular story?
Oh God, yeah. I think the Shadow Man one, which is of the recent
The
series.
most recent one, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that guy, my God, but he had the breathing. He had the breathing as well. And yeah, that kind of, yeah, that I found that most interesting of all of them.
One here, Jem Treadwin saying, whatever anyone believes, I think you're brave talking on here with us lot. Hopefully you'll get some peace and some answers. And that's from somebody who knows. Thank you, Jem, for that lovely message. Thank you
Oh,
for that.
thank you, Jen. Actually, I
Uh,
would like to say, because we've not really got that long, have we? I just wanted to sort of, obviously I watch a lot of investigative channels, and I'm following Beardo and Seg and Ouija Brothers and Ghosts on Trent, etc., and yourself, obviously.
I should
And
bloody think so.
well, obviously, goes without saying. I just wanted to talk about investigations a little bit and some like the guidelines and ethics and stuff. And I just want to say now, Ouija Brothers, I love you to bits, and I totally forgive you for what you did. I think you just desensitized to the whole thing, and you didn't realise the effect it would have on people that have lost people, etc. So that's that out of the way. Kieran, again, we'll go back to Kieran. Kieran, in repeated interviews, has said how he wants investigators to be citizen scientists, and he just wishes that they could collect environmental data and supply him with it. Things like EMF, infrasound, thermal imaging, humidity, air pressure, temperature, things like that. using the guidelines that are available on the SPR website, and to review and apply those to investigations from a scientific standpoint. Could we not do that on one, at least one of the channels? And the ethics as well. Kieran published some ethics. It's called Things That Go Bump in the Literature, which I think everybody in a situation like Ouija Brothers have been in recently, like if I was them, I'd just be thinking, what would Kieran do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
would.
yeah, yeah.
I would. And that way, it's kind of like, you know, you're cool. Like,
Would
um,
you? I mean, talk about Kieran and investigators, obviously, because when this was all kicking off in, let's say, 2001, I know, right? But would you ever have contemplated bringing anybody in at that point, or was it a case of just
get
you
out
was
of
just
there.
too in terms of it was a case of I don't know what the fuck is going on. I just don't want anybody.
Yeah,
You know,
no. And this is why I
you don't want
really
to talk to anybody about
sympathise
it.
with the people on Uncanny, because these guys weren't renting; they were living there.
Yeah,
And that's why I think that's why the Shadow Man one really got to me, because that poor guy had lost his mum as well, but he was forced to stay there. He couldn't just leave. I could just go, see ya, like
yeah,
I'm done. But imagine having to live somewhere like that and you can't leave because it's your house. What are you supposed to do? You know, it's just no.
well,
I wouldn't have brought a team in. No, but I would love, and this is another reason I wanted to get on Uncanny, you know, where Danny Robbins goes, oh, have you spoken to anyone that's ever lived there? Well, I have. I'd
yeah,
love him to just speak to a previous resident, or I'd love that house to be investigated. But again, it's ethically wrong to go up to a front door of a property or write to someone and just go, oh, you know, I'm so and so, so and so, I'd like to do a paranormal investigation here. Because we believe it's haunted. I mean, how's that going to affect the people that are living there, that have bought the place? It's just not,
yeah.
you know.
I mean, in terms of obviously how this has affected you, would you go out and investigate, or is it a kind of case of you're quite happy to watch it and quite happy to read about it and watch other people doing it? But how would you
No,
feel
I
about
would. I
investigating
would
yourself?
love to go out and investigate. I would love to. I don't drive, unfortunately, which is kind of a, yeah, would affect me doing that. But yeah, I would. I would love to, with the right team. I think it's all down to, you know, sharing the right ethics and the people that you're with, and like, yeah, if I was with the right people, yeah, definitely, I would.
Yeah. All right. We've just going to finish. I will just mention, obviously, to anybody, obviously, you are around on YouTube a lot. So do you want to tell people, obviously, if anybody wants to get in contact with you, or if you want to get in contact with them in terms of, or,
Oh yeah, yeah. By all
how-
means. I mean, I'm debunk on YouTube.
good name, good name.
I don't have. I do have a channel, but like it's related to the condition that I'm suffering with from the COVID vaccine, so it's not actually like directly involved in the paranormal stuff or anything
Yeah.
like that. But and I will also read the comments, good and bad, and I'll reply to that. And yeah, I do have, for any investigators out there, there's a site in Hertfordshire that I would love you to visit, and it's free, and it's called Cold Christmas, and it's an old church that was something to do with the plague. Look into it. It's called Cold Christmas, and it's completely free. Go there.
Fabulous.
Trust me. Go there.
Just for people wondering why, I mean, my monkey here, I decided not to have the alarm going at 9 o'clock because I had a guest on. But when it comes to Chimp's Tea Party, this thing will go off at 9 o'clock. So I'm just where he works. He's lovely. He's great, but he will go off when I've got to shut up and stop waffling. So, but I'm not going to do that with a guest. It's a bit rude. Thank you so much, Dee, for coming on, for sharing your story.
Nice to actually get it out there.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and it's, and also there'll be plenty of people in the chat who have had mad experiences, and let's be honest, they're mad. You know, because I've had some mental ones as well,
Oh,
and it's kind of it's kind of nice in a way that you're not nuts, you're not going crazy, that sometimes weird stuff does happen. And there'll be people in the chat who have had very similar kind of events happen to them in particular situations, similar kind of situations to yourself. All right, the stories may be different, the events may be different, you know, but thank you. Like I say, just thank you so much for sharing it and for being brave enough to come on, basically.
You're very welcome. And we were in sync the whole night.
Mental. Absolutely mental. There's it's only taken 3 months. Brilliant. Ever since Christmas, it's been a bloody nightmare, technically.
I know.
So I'm very happy. I'm not doing my, Bruce Lee impression. Anyway, thank you so much for coming on. Yeah, please, obviously, if you want to obviously read about Dee's story, it is in a little book called Haunted Hartford. So you can probably, I'd like to say, kind of paraphrased a bit in that book, but that's in the book. And look out for Dee's name, because I think it's a great name on say YouTube. Looking for Debunk. It's awesome. You can't miss that one. So
thank you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you. Like I say, thank you to everybody in the chat, and thank you for all your questions, and yeah, thank you for your support as well. So thank you so much, Dee. Like I say, I'm sure we'll speak to you again soon.
In the mortal words of Griff, peace.
Thanks, Dee. Right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. I look very warm, but I'm not. It's just these lights on either side. I'm just aware that I'm looking very red. Thank you to everybody watching. This Thursday, I'm going to be doing a Chimps Tea Party, and the topic that I had that came second last time was on time slips. So I'm going to be doing the Chimps Tea Party topic conversation. It's all about time slips. So if you know of any great time slip stories, I know there's the one in Liverpool, which is very well known. I know of one, a place called Fotheringhay, close to where my mum lives, funny enough. There's a great time slip incident there. But if you know of any time slip events that's been recorded or written about, you want to share them out to the chat or give me your thoughts and opinions on it, it'd be awesome. But yeah, that's on this Thursday. And then I will tell you what's coming up next week on Thursday. So have I got any monkey merch? Yes, of course I got monkey merch, Gareth. Of course I have. But anyway, thank you so much, guys. Thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed that. I thoroughly enjoyed that myself. Really interesting. And it's kind of a nice change to get some people's experiences, I think, on this channel, and for sharing it and for being brave enough to share it. So thank you, guys. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and I shall see you on Thursday. All right, goodbye. Right, I shall see you then. Bye-bye.